What to know about planning a trip to Ecuador.
Welcome to Vacation Mavens, the podcast that brings you travel inspiration and practical tips from two moms who know how to plan the perfect trip.
I'm Tamara from Your Time to Fly.
And I'm Kim from Stuffed Suitcase. With over 40 years of travel experience between us, we're here to share our favorite destinations from road trips to cruising, theme parks, and European adventures.
Whether you're planning a family vacation or a mom getaway, we have the tips and tricks to make memories that will last a lifetime.
Tamara, we recently talked about your amazing trip to the Galapagos and such a bucket list trip for many. Some might not even know that go to Ecuador as part of your jumping off point for that experience. So you, in addition to the Galapagos trip, you spent a lot of time in Ecuador. So today we're going to talk all about the logistics of traveling to Ecuador and even a little bit of high-level itinerary planning. So let's kick off. What do you want to start with as we get ready to look at this extra additional South American country that you've been to since you're chalking them up this year?
Yeah, I'll say I spent a total of 17 nights in Ecuador. 5 of those were in the Galapagos, but it's a small country, but there is a lot to see. I can't say I did everything because I didn't even touch the Amazon rainforest, which I know is another popular area. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot to cover, and I feel like everyone thinks of the Galapagos, but then maybe brushes over the mainland. And I feel like there's a lot to see and do. And I found the people like really warm and lovely and just like got a very nice welcome. I don't know how else to put it except very warm and very friendly.
That's good to know. So let's talk maybe high level itinerary or regions. You flew into Quito. So is that where most people from maybe the US or even Europe or something, is that kind of where they're probably going to come into?
Yeah, you're going to find most of the international flights into Quito or Guayaquil. And Quito is the capital, so it's a very big city. It's set in a valley between some volcanoes, so it's a really like long, skinny city. It is a popular destination. Guayaquil is, if you're just going to the Galapagos, it's a little closer, so you could fly there. I think we have a much easier time on the East Coast than you do on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe you might have to fly through Mexico City or you have to go through like Houston.
Yeah.
I flew through Miami, as often you would to go south.
Yeah.
And so you can also fly through the other hubs like Charlotte or Atlanta. But there are a fair amount of flights. It's pretty easy to get to. It's actually a lot closer than you would expect. I think it's 3.5 hours from Miami.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
like basically the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's close. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's from a landscape perspective, there's definitely different parts. Like I mentioned the Amazon, a lot of it is very mountainous, very green. It's at the equator.
Yeah.
And so it's very lush, very beautiful. Like they drove through one part that was called like the Switzerland of Ecuador because they're just beautiful green mountains with cow farms dotting the landscape. I didn't also see the coastal area. So there's really a lot of variety. And then they have some higher elevation points like Cotopaxi National Park. It's big with hiking.
And luggage. They just produce amazing luggage there. No, I'm just kidding.
Glenn was like, why didn't you bring your Cotopaxi jacket to wear when you were there? I'm like, I have such a full suitcase. I was swimming in the Galapagos and then had a fireplace going in Cotopaxi. So it was a range of things I needed to pack for.
For sure.
More about the layers than the fashion. So yeah, there's just a lot to see. I forget where your question even was.
I was just saying like high level itinerary. So I think maybe it's just a layout because you mentioned that it's a small country, but I'm guessing with a rainforest, there's probably different regions or areas. And if you spent a lot of time there, do you have an idea of where people might want to focus? Are the regions different based on what interests you have?
They're really different. I think that is one of the biggest challenges of deciding what your itinerary is going to be. And in a future episode, we'll get a little bit more into specific of what I did, but just from a high level, I flew into Quito, then I went to the Galapagos. From the Galapagos, I flew to Guayaquil. From there, I spent a couple of nights, actually just one night, at a hacienda in that area. And then I flew up to the city of Cuenca. Cuenca is a city that is like a UNESCO heritage city. It's smaller, it's quieter, it's safer, it's just a little more, and you feel like more of the culture there.
Okay.
Because it's a smaller city and the UNESCO heritage. And I think it's hard for many people to fit that in. And I think you really need to work with someone if you're planning a trip to Ecuador to figure out what are your priorities, what are the things you really want to see, and then figure out what itinerary like makes sense for you. Because from there I went up, and there's a lot of things that you can do around Cuenca, a lot of cultural things, but a lot of adventure things too, like paragliding and stuff, and rock climbing. Then I went up to the more of the Cotopaxi, like the mountain volcano area, where it is about hiking and scenic views, maybe horseback riding. It is a much higher elevation, so if you're sensitive to elevation, you have to keep that in mind. Like a couple of nights there, and definitely when I went out to do the hikes, like any kind of uphill, my heart was beating faster. It wasn't as
Yeah.
bad as when I was in Cusco, but it was still, you felt it.
Hmm.
And then from there, I went to Quito. I went to Quito many times because it's like your starting off
Your
point for
hub.
things, your hub,
Yeah.
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 And then I went to Mashpi Lodge, which is in the cloud forest. So it's again a
Okay.
totally different experience. You're having more of the not jungle that you're having in the
Amazon.
Amazon, but you're having this cloud forest with lots and lots of birds and just greenery and clouds and rain, but just a
Yeah.
very different ecosystem. And then from there, I also went over to another hacienda for a different type of experience in the mountains, and hacienda for a different type of different experiences to
Okay.
companions.
Yeah.
Makeup is it families or not? I met a lot of families that were doing, or like kind of the multi-gen or skip gen type of like grandparents taking a grandson on a
Yeah.
adventure, and they were doing like multiple weeks. They were doing like Galapagos, Amazon, cloud forest, like they were
Wow.
really spending probably 3 to 4 weeks or longer there.
How much time do you think you need in each like kind of region? Just to, if you're just getting a touch, I understand you can always really dig in, but if you're just getting a touch, would you do
Yeah,
3 nights at each place? Would you do
probably
longer?
about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
otherwise it's just too tiring for moving
Yeah.
around too. And I think that you can do, like, if you just have a week to 10 days, I would totally do like Galapagos and the Hacienda La Danesa that I stayed at down in Guayaquil. Like, fly in and out
Okay.
of Guayaquil, and you just do that, and you
Yeah.
feel like you've gotten a bit of a land experience as well as the Galapagos. If you're flying
Okay.
into Quito, I would do something a little different. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, good to know. You mentioned the one town you went to where you flew to that it was safer. So let's talk a little bit about you were
Yeah.
a solo female in Ecuador and stuff. Let's talk about kind of safety, getting around, things like that. What was your vibe on that?
So I was warned by a lot of people about walking around Quito after dark. I stayed right in the very center of this beautiful hotel, and it was a great location. But the first night that I was there, I went for a walk, maybe around 4 or 5. And as soon as it was getting a little bit closer to dusk, you just saw everyone like lowering the gates on the shops, like closing up. The vibe just changed. Like, where
Mm-hmm.
during the day it was very vibrant, there were people everywhere, there were like people selling goods out in the plazas, like it was, you felt incredibly safe and fine, and it just
Yeah.
felt a little different after dark. And even one night I went to dinner with, this part of the trip was I worked with a company called Amazing Ecuador to help arrange my trip, so I actually met with their team while I was in Quito, and they took me to dinner, and we drove a bit to a nice looking neighborhood. There was nice hotels nearby, and they still had an armed guard in front of the restaurant, and they lock the door after every person comes in. It was a beautiful restaurant. So there, I wouldn't walk. I would only take like an Uber
Pro-
or a cab or something to different.
Probably even you went private. Yeah, I don't even know
Yeah,
about Ubers and cabs. Yeah,
right.
they can be
Yeah,
crazy.
and I feel like I also heard some things with Guayaquil. Cuenca was safer. I walked there by myself at night, but there was also like a festival going on, so there were a lot of people. I wouldn't have walked by myself like late at night, but
Mm.
I pretty much don't do that anywhere except maybe New York City because there's
I
always
know.
people around.
Mia and
Um,
I were just walking late at night in Paris after going. We stayed in the fifth, and we were all the way at the Eiffel Tower, and we decided to walk back home, walk back to the room, and then I was getting as we were getting further away, I was like, I don't know if this was the right choice, and that's Paris. We were right on the river.
done
Whatever.
that with Hannah a couple times where I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be setting a good example here, and I'm not
Yeah,
sure that was a good choice. But
yeah,
yeah, I think that's what I would have to say about safety is make sure that you are keeping all of your valuables in one of those. Like, I
locked.
used my travel on sling bag that has the locking
Mm-hmm.
zippers. Don't have it in an open bag or in a pocketbook that's easily grabbed or a backpack. Just be very full of things and keep things separate. Like I keep some money, one credit card back in the room type of thing. I did meet a woman from Czech Republic, was in Ecuador for 6 months. She said she had her passport stolen. And so she was waiting for a new one, which I'm pretty sure the U.S. Embassy would be a little faster than that. But
Yeah.
and I don't know how long she was already there before it was stolen. But
Yikes.
yeah.
So talking about money, what was that like? Credit card, cash, tap to pay?
So crazy is they use the US dollar.
Oh,
So
okay.
it makes it easy. Although instead of dollar bills, they have dollar coins. And I had a
Oh,
whole bunch of them that I brought back. And then I went to lunch with my friend and we were talking about, do we have money for the valet? And I'm like, oh, I have all these dollars. She's like, you can't give those. I'm like, it says US dollar on it. And she was just like, but
embarrassed.
they don't like, we don't use those here. It's not like remember like the Susan B. Anthony or
Yes. No,
those
I
kind of.
know. Paul just tipped the car wash dude with some he found in our coin.
So I was like, what's up? But anyway,
Yeah.
so it's US dollar. So it's
That's
amazing
interesting.
that it's based on the US dollar because I would think it makes things really expensive for locals.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I would say, honestly, a lot of the places that I went to were an all-inclusive thing. So I really didn't have to worry about it very
Okay.
much. And when I was in the cities, I would mostly went to dinner at a restaurant, and there it's credit
Credit
card.
card?
Yeah, so I didn't.
Okay.
But where you need cash would be tipping. Tipping is
Yeah.
definitely part of the culture.
Okay.
And also, there's a lot of markets. So one of the places that I went to, not too far from Quito, is Ata. And they're known for this huge market of weavers that have all different kinds of fabrics and ponchos and blankets, but just all these different goods. I thought it was going to be really cheesy and touristy, and I wasn't
Yeah.
going to want anything. And I ended up wanting a lot. One guy, I was just like, "Donde está el banco?" And so I was like walking to the ATM, and then I had to buy a duffel bag to bring stuff
Bring
back.
stuff home.
So I would
Oh
definitely
man.
make sure you have some small bills for tipping and for purchases like that. Or
Okay.
even like on the side of the road, there's people selling different fruit and
Yeah.
things like that. And of course, if you want flowers while you're there, did you know that how many roses Ecuador exports every year?
No.
Now I can't remember but it's like
It's a lot. I'm
it's like
guessing.
$1 billion worth of roses or
Oh
something like
wow.
that. It's one of their biggest exports. And so
Okay.
you drive, there's like this everywhere. And all of the ones that are not deemed good enough for export are sold at these little stands like on the side of the road where you can get like two bunches of 25 roses each for $3.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So,
That's nice. But
yeah.
how often can you, when you're traveling, it's so hard. I guess if you're staying in a hotel room for 4 days, get some and enjoy it
Right.
in your room. Nice.
You bring those back on the plane.
Yeah, no, pretty sure not allowed. So we talked about money, safety. What else do we want to talk about?
Probably
What
a bit
should
about
people
getting
know?
around because if
Okay.
you are going to visit multiple places, I would highly recommend that you would get a driver
Yeah.
because for many reasons, number one is the roads are not that well marked. So I feel like, and following like GPS, even with my driver one time, he was like, yeah, Google might send you down a road and that road just like ends. He was
Yeah.
complaining. He's like, Ecuador, we just build roads without thinking about where they're going sometimes. And the roads, a lot of them were not in the best shape. Some of them maybe had some slides and things like that to worry about and clean up. So yeah, like it just a bit of a aggressive driving kind of
Yeah.
culture where
Yeah.
people are like right on the back of somebody because you have these 2-lane roads. And I remember this in Morocco. It can take forever to get to places because you're winding through mountains. And so all the trucks on those roads, like they're not going very fast up the hill.
Right.
So you have that kind of backing things up. And then you have the people like they tailgate like feels like an inch away from the bumper. And then as soon as there's an opportunity, they go around. And if
Mm.
people are coming the other way, like I feel like in the US, we're like, you better get back where you came from if you're like coming into my lane. And there they let the other person go.
Back in front of
Like
them.
they let them, yeah. So they kind
Yeah.
of expect people to do that. So just like a different style of driving, perhaps. And like I said, just a little harder to find your way around. Going out to, luckily with Mashpi Lodge, where I stayed the night before, they included a transfer. It's owned by the same company. But the last like hour of that drive is on a dirt road that was like, seriously, if you're pregnant or have neck or back issues, I don't think you should go out there because it
Oh
was
my
like
gosh.
really
Oh
like
wow, yeah.
potholes and stuff. Yeah,
Gosh.
so I wouldn't, and I hope that doesn't discourage anyone from going because I found it to be really a wonderful country. Like, I
Yeah.
really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the experiences. I just think you should be prepared
Yeah.
and just do what you need to do to. There's so many wonderful, like, luxury places to stay and experiences, and you don't need to feel like you're not going to have the comforts that you are looking for.
Is it an affordable luxury vacation destination?
It depends.
Okay.
I'm starting to wonder if anything is affordable these days.
Yeah. It's like because tour travelers have ruined it. Like anywhere they know they can get with the right marketing, they can get pull anyone in.
I will say that, like, the
Mhm.
Galaxy yachts, like, how much do you think a 5-day cruise in the Galapagos would cost?
All inclusive, one person or double
One per
occupancy? I mean, I'm guessing
based
it
on
would
double
be,
occupancy, you
yeah, I'm
say.
guessing it's 6,500 for, I don't know.
Say 10,000, they think it would cost 10,000.
Yeah,
The Galaxy yacht started at 3,500.
per person.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, that to me was
Yeah, that's what I
much
would
more
think on a
affordable than I
5 day.
expected, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But some of the luxury hotels that are all inclusive, they are also including excursions and activities
right.
with naturalists and stuff. And those are pricier.
Yeah,
But they're like everywhere, there's going to be like your 4-star boutique kind of places or the more luxury experiences.
okay.
Yeah. So I think that you need to have a realistic budget, but it doesn't need to be crazy.
Yeah. So, what about food? Was there anything unique to Ecuador, or did you feel like you ate well? What was it like?
I really ate well. And Hannah and I were talking about this, but like, because she was in China a couple of months ago, and she was just saying how her stomach felt so much better when she was there.
Oh, in China. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was saying that I felt really good because everything is like fresh and healthy.
Yeah.
And look, I am not a fan of RFK Jr., but there are definitely some issues with our food
Food,
systems.
100%.
And I just really appreciate like all the fresh produce and just the healthiness of the food and so everything, it was not maybe what I don't know. I didn't have an expectation really
Right.
because I didn't have a clear idea. Like Peruvian food, I've been a lot more exposed to. There's a lot of Peruvian
Okay.
restaurants around here. Ecuador, I wasn't quite sure, but basically they always start with a soup.
Okay.
Some like times like a quinoa soup, sometimes it has some cheese in it, like just different kinds of soups. So that was pretty standard. Ceviche is very popular, especially along the coast. When we were in the Galapagos, I prefer. So ceviche is like shrimp or fish that's cured
Marinated with
with,
acid,
yeah, like
like vinegar
lemon
or
juice or
something.
lime
Yeah.
juice or something.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I actually like ceviche. I'm not a
yeah,
big,
I,
I'm not
it's a,
a, I hate like sushi and stuff, but ceviche I don't
yeah,
mind because I like the acid. It
right.
works for me.
I like the shrimp one. The shrimp
Yeah.
and lime is really yummy.
Yep.
But really nice salads, like such nice salads, like the wonderful
I
tropical
was
fruit and the
curious. That's
juices.
amazing. No
And
issue with
then
water there then.
the water is so the water is not, you wouldn't drink the water, but they wash it with filtered water. They wash
And you
stuff
know
with
that.
filtered
Like you
water.
just eat at a good,
Yeah.
if you just eat at a
Yeah.
restaurant as opposed to, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I was
We have some
fine.
friends who'd be eating street food and have no
And
issue, but that's
like
not
in
me.
Peru, I didn't have a salad at all, which is the same case there, but I was too nervous about it. But I did have a lot of salad here and I was
Yeah.
fine.
That's
And I
awesome.
have a very sensitive stomach. I
Yeah.
still brought all the stuff I brought with me to Peru. Yeah, so I found, and then the entrees were fish or pork, different kinds of
Pretty
proteins.
standard. Yeah.
They do guinea pig there as well.
I remember
Um,
seeing that on one of your stories.
and then a lot of,
Did you eat any?
I didn't, did I eat any there? I can't remember.
Okay.
I feel like oh, you know what? I had, when we were in Quito, we went to this really nice Ecuadorian food, but like with a modern twist kind of thing.
Fusion.
Yeah, a
You just
bit.
throw the
So
word fusion on
it
anything.
was a dumpling. So it
Oh,
was
okay.
a guinea pig inside the dumpling, but it would
Yeah.
have been a pork
It's
dumpling or it
yeah.
didn't taste
Yeah.
all that different.
It's funny. It's just like a mental hang up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then chocolate.
Oh, of
Back with a
course.
stack of chocolate
And you're not a
bars.
coffee lover. That would be the other thing
Yeah.
there, right?
I actually asked
Yeah.
Glenn, do you want me to bring you back coffee? And he was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm okay.
I would go Ecuador and coffee over
Yeah.
Colombian any day. Oh yeah.
And so I did at one place did a chocolate making workshop, and they have a cacao farm there. But I brought like pretty much every hotel would just leave chocolates by your bed at night. And
Nice.
so I had the collection of them. And then someone gave me a gift of a box of 6 chocolate bars. And I bought 2 chocolate bars, and other hotel gave me a full chocolate bar. So I came back with a stack of different chocolate bars.
And is it like dark chocolate?
Dark
Like 60,
chocolate, and some of
70%
them will have
additions?
quinoa, like
Yep.
like popped
Yep.
quinoa, like almost
Yeah.
like a crackle.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like
Yeah,
that.
I love the quinoa chocolates. Yep.
Or a spice or salt or things like
Yep.
that, or mint. Yeah. So
Oh my
different
gosh,
flavors.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So that was really yummy.
Cool. That sounds amazing. So quickly before we sign off, you've now been to Chile, Peru, and Ecuador. I think that's it,
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. I'm like, was there
Those are
another one I
major-
forgot?
Yeah.
What's the vibe between those? I know I'm thinking like Chile, most people go there if they're going to go to Antarctica or something.
Yeah.
So Ecuador is really good with the Galapagos. So I see those two things, but
Yeah, it's
anything
definitely
else?
more of like the adventure because you're doing Atacama Desert or Patagonia or wine.
Right.
I feel like Ecuador and Peru were most similar. I guess at one point they were all one. Did you know that Ecuador? Now I'm forgetting, but like
Panama?
there's
Oh.
like Ecuador, Colombia, and Bolivia, or Ecuador maybe all have the same flag.
Oh, I
There's a
did not.
little contention between Ecuador and Peru,
Oh.
but I feel like there's the most similarity between those two countries of the 3 that I've visited. Ecuador is very densely populated, but it does have its pockets of like different villages that are more like this indigenous group versus that indigenous group, and they have different, slightly different traditional clothing. Like maybe the hat
Okay.
is a little different, or the way somebody wears their hair is a little different. So that's really interesting to learn about. And there are places that you can go to visit local communities, especially out in the rainforest, but that are, I wouldn't say untouched, less integrated with the rest of the country. But there are also just like artisans and different places that you can go to interact with people. So I really enjoyed that from a cultural richness point of view.
Mhm.
And I think that if you are looking, if you've gone to Costa Rica and you really liked Costa Rica, I think you would love Ecuador.
Oh, interesting.
I think
Okay.
things like that. If you are interested, because Costa Rica has a cloud forest and it has wildlife and things, but at least from when I went, like it didn't have as strong of a culture.
Right.
So then I felt like Ecuador has a lot of those things. Yeah, I feel like, again, if you've been to Costa Rica or Belize and you've liked it, then maybe your next trip could be Ecuador.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Talk to you guys soon.
If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and rate and review on your favorite podcast app, as that helps other people discover us. And if you want to see more, follow me, Tamara, at Your Time to Fly on Instagram and Facebook and all the others.
And you can follow me, Kim, at Stuff Suitcase on Instagram, Facebook, and of course my blog.